Hello, and welcome to episode 302 of the Casual Try Hard podcast. I'm
And
Brian,
I'm James.
and we're taking a break from Foundations. We'll come back because the sets never stop.
That's right.
So
We take a
we've
break
got
from our regularly scheduled set review to bring you this set review.
we're going to talk about Pioneer Masters, and this is less of a set review and perhaps more of a crafting guide.
Absolutely. That's very important to note that I hadn't really looked at the card file until you sent me that it was all spoiled. And there are a lot of cards in this set that are already on Arena and probably already in your collection. So if you approach this as a normal set, you're kind of going to be wasting your money.
Yes. So I just kind of went through like what are the cards that like you would craft and what decks in Pioneer do they go in, so you kind of have a sense of like what you should be looking for.
Yeah.
If you haven't gone through the set. So if you want to reach out to us, say hey. We're all on social media.
Yep.
We got we're on Twitter, Discord, Facebook, email, all that stuff. It's all in the link. All the links are in the description. So go in, say hey, and let us know what you think.
Yeah. If there's anything in this episode that you think we missed, let us know so we can rectify that. Also, let us know your thoughts on Pioneer / Explorer / whatever we're going to call it now that it's almost Pioneer. And if there's anything else you want us to cover from Foundations from red, green, because we finished black, right? So if there's anything on Foundations from red on that you guys want to hear about, you can let us know that also. If you want to support the show, there's a couple ways you can do it. The first is with our TCG player affiliate link, CasualTryHard.com/TCG. Surf on over there, do your shopping, and you'll be supporting the show at the same time. It doesn't cost you anything extra and really helps us out. If you want to support us more directly, Patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG is where you can do that. Patrons get access to our show notes a little early, so you get kind of a sneak peek about what the episode's going to be about. And patrons also get about another hour of content out of us every week in the form of our unshow. We're old, our equipment doesn't work, and we live half a country apart now, so we spend about an hour before every show catching up, making sure our mics are recording and everything looks okay. That way we try to minimize technical issues while we're recording. And we figure we might as well record it, and our patrons seem to really enjoy it. So if you're interested in that, or if you just want to support the show, like I said, Patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. Chip a couple bucks in and support your favorite podcast.
Yeah, and we're gonna be using that money to go on a trip to play Magic. So you'll get some like pre-trip prep episodes out of this, and you'll get at least one wrap-up episode.
Absolutely.
And maybe we'll have Anthony come in for a
special guest.
Pod.
Yeah,
to talk about his experience as a weeb Magic player now.
Yeah, just like the old times.
Yeah. So something to look forward to.
Yeah.
So give us money so we can go to Chicago. There's the hard pitch.
Good job.
Thank you.
So real quick before we dive into like the set here, how close are we going to get?
To what?
To like Pioneer.
So the meme name is Pion, Near.
Okay.
Pioneer.
That makes sense.
Jim Davis said we're somewhere around like 95%.
Yeah.
I didn't go through, and I should have. Like there's a list of like the top 100 played cards in Pioneer, and like at one point we were 40 cards short or something.
Yeah. Hopefully that brings that number way down.
Yeah, and that was a while back that we were like 40 cards short.
Yeah.
And with, the way cards are currently printed, it is, it's going to force out more and more of those older cards.
Yeah.
So we're pretty close. There's some stuff that would have been like maybe cool to see, like just things that have shown up in random sideboards of like random pet decks. Like we're in that like weird spot where this hasn't happened in Legacy in a while, but well, no, it happens a lot in Legacy.
Yeah.
So like Legacy, like the digital Legacy won't match the paper Legacy because some Fallout card, they don't have rights to print it as a single on Arena,
right,
or whatever, right? Or like it takes them a few months to put the Commander product with like, not play tested for any formats cards they're in.
Yeah.
And then those cards eventually make their way in. There could be a chance that like they print something that like causes a deck or a card to become useful.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, we've got to figure out some way to put this on Arena.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, like if they have plans to, maybe the cards that are missing or that are like kind of at that fringe, or like, hey, we're a special guest race car driver edition for Aether Drift, or whatever. We're the special guest pit crew.
Yeah.
And but there are some cards that are missing. But like a lot of the cards that are missing are like, random 2/2s for 2.
Yeah.
And,
it wouldn't be a huge deal if you subbed something else out.
Yeah, like Summit Prowler's not here, and that's fine.
Right. Don't need it.
Summit Prowler is not getting played.
Right.
But, some of the choices that they made are kind of beyond comprehension.
Okay. Do you have an example?
I've got 11 I can think of.
Oh, okay.
All of the gates in Maze's End.
Oh, you mean as includes? I thought you meant like cards that should have been in that are...
No.
Yeah.
No, I meant more on the lines of like, they use spots for cards that don't really matter.
Yeah.
And you could have put other things in its place that like did a very similar thing.
Yeah. But were a unique card for the format.
Yeah, I guess the argument against that is you get to like save time, right? You get to save programmer time, because like, hey, we already have Jawari Disruption.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like, cool. We didn't need it. Why is it here? And it's like, well, it's a good limited card, and we don't have to program it.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I understand trying to make like a decent limited format, but like, I feel like they could have done a better job of like
moving us closer to Pioneer than they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason I asked that question is I know it's been a long time since Pioneer was birthed. And the format's definitely in a different spot than it was then, but one of the exciting things for me about like Pioneer existing is, not that it's going to be uber competitive, but I could sleeve up a favorite pet deck of mine from Standard past and like give it a shot, and there's a format where I can play it in and not get laughed at like I would in Modern, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think we're probably still a little ways from that. When I was going through to make the card file here, I saw Archangel Athun. And like, not that card sees a ton of play, but that card saw a lot of play when it was legal and Standard. And, it's a combo card, whatever. It's, good to be here. And that kind of got me thinking about some of the other decks that I might like to, because it's so easy to move in and out of decks on Arena, like some other decks that might be kind of cool to, give a shot and see if I can make them any better or see if they still have any legs. Like, I noticed there's no Doomwake Giant here.
Yeah, that would have been a good one.
Yeah, not that card's, super playable in 2024 terms, but I had a lot of fun playing that card back in Theros Standard, and like that would have been kind of cool to see if I could build a Constellation deck that was just super grindy like that again. Or one of the cards we're going to talk about today is Dark Petition. Obviously that sees play in current Standard, but I also really liked playing that Seasons Pass control deck.
And they didn't give a Seasons Pass, or did they?
Well, I think Seasons Past is already legal. I think it was in
Maybe.
Innistrad or Shadows Remastered. So I think that's already on the client. But I don't know how close to that deck you can get without having like the weird one-off. You know, it was just best in slot because it was in standard or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just kind of an interesting question, I thought.
I'm kind of going through MTG Goldfish.
Yeah.
Looking at the 50 most played Pioneer cards, and now I'm looking at the creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And um so Sylvan Caryatid was the 50th most played creature.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it. It made it the list.
Yeah.
And then so it seems like they got the 50 most played cards in. Wow. Chandra's Defeat is the 27th most played spell.
Wow.
Wild. Okay. Cool story, bro. Annul. Ugh. Ugh. The guy who's been just playing enchantments like Enigmatic Incarnation. It's Annul, God. And it looks like they have the top 50 spells.
Yeah. Okay.
So like they've covered, I guess it's just like the fringy, like fun stuff. Like you said, the random one-ofs.
Yeah.
Like it feels like they could have done they could have looked at getting cards like, the creatures like 51 to 75 in, as opposed to like random rare that may or may not like see play.
Yeah.
Or that like doesn't really matter. Because like, could we have had something other than Dictate of Heliod?
Yeah.
As a rare? Like, do we need that? So yeah, there are just some things that you just kind of go like, why did we pick this one? Like, why did we like tweet out about Heliod, God of the Sun? This card has not seen play in like forever.
Yeah.
Like that could have been like I guess I don't know. There's not even like another like there's not like a deck that wants it.
Right.
Right? Like, if it was, oh gosh, what is the angel that exiles 3 things and then when it dies like they come back?
And the only one I can think of is Angel of Sanctions, but that's not it, is it?
That's not it. No, I think that's the Unearthed one. But like it could have been that, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. There's just some things that I'm just like I don't understand why you made this choice, but whatevs. So, yeah. So there are a great number of cards that are a combination of like, why are you here? We basically have you already.
Mm-hmm.
Or why are you here? No one plays you. You could have been something else.
Yeah.
Right? So, and like I know some things are like random sideboard cards or whatever, but then there's just like, So, as opposed to like I said, going in or in like, crushing like 30 drafts to like get all of the cards that you want.
Yeah.
This may very well be a like just craft the things for the deck that you wish you would get to play.
Right.
And then call it good. Right? So let's jump in here.
Sure.
So hey, Chain to the Rocks.
This is a good one.
It is, right? 1 mana. Do we need to go over what these do?
I don't know. What do you think?
Maybe, because maybe like people are just maybe arena people and they haven't seen these before.
That's true. Some of them are older, so.
Yeah, so Chain to the Rocks is a white for an enchantment aura. Enchant mountain you control when Chain to the Rocks enters, exile target creature an opponent controls until Chain to the Rocks leaves the battlefield. So it's an enchantment, so it's good in like so I have Enigmatic Incarnation. I think it's seen play in other it's good in decks that care about enchantments. And it's also just like kind of Swords to Plowshares if you're playing a red white deck.
Yeah, very efficient.
Yeah, and now it's not chained to basic. It's not enchant basic mountain.
Right. It can,
It's enchant
tag
mountain.
any mountain.
So Sacred Foundry.
Yep.
Now, granted, the non-basic ones then open you up to Field of Ruin, Demolition Field kind of things.
Mm-hmm. But you can put this on a Triome or something.
Mm-hmm. So real quick, you'll remember this story. Playing against the Cheaty McCheater face from our store.
Yep.
And he was like chained to the rocks and put it on a mystic monastery. And I was like, no, it's chained to the rocks, not chained to the red source. Yeah, it's not chained to the red source. All right, so what's up next?
Next up, we have Elspeth's Son's Champion. 4 white, 4 loyalty. When you can +1 for 3 1/1 soldier creature tokens. You can -3 to destroy all creatures power 4 or greater, and -7 you get an emblem with creatures you control get +2/+2 and have flying.
It has shown up in sideboards
Mm-hmm.
in the past. Some of these cards I went in and was like, oh, definitely, I'm gonna look this one up. This one I'm just like, it is sometimes just a mirror breaker in a control deck, in like a mid-range deck, where like if you resolve this, like it's really hard to lose if you're spitting out 3 1/1s a turn.
Return, yeah.
And then you just get to like Plague Wind your opponent.
Yeah, it's army in a can. It stabilizes you super quick.
I mean, it is 6 mana, but if you can stick it, like you're in a good spot.
Well, by super quick, I meant like by itself in a turn. Like you play this in your stable.
Yes. And like I said, like it's a sideboard card that like white mid-rangey decks or white control decks will play sometimes.
Yep, absolutely. Next up is not such a staple. This is Hallowed Moonlight. 1 and a white for an instant. Until the end of turn, if a creature would enter and it wasn't cast, exile it instead and draw a card. This is more of a sideboard card.
Definitely a sideboard card.
Yeah.
Great against Phoenix.
Yep.
Right, they play their third spell, they get their triggers on the stack, and then you Hallowed Moonlight and you get them. So that's like where this sees play, and it has been like the like answer of choice from time to time at like the Pro Tour, and like the sideboard card of choice at the Pro Tour is like, what is my white like spell-based graveyard hate kind of thing.
Yep.
If everyone's prepared for Rest in Peace, you can go this way because you just care about like that one thing.
Yeah. Tag their Atraxa or whatever.
Yeah, and I guess it also gets stuff from creativity.
Mm-hmm.
So not just reanimation anywhere.
From
Collected
anywhere.
Company.
Yep. This is kind of a weird one. Kythian Hero of Akros.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say this card definitely saw play like while it was in standard, and I think it's popped up a couple times otherwise, but where's it seeing play now?
So there was a couple weeks ago, I saw, maybe I'll try to find the video and link it. There was a Doomlake video on Boros Legends.
Okay.
Which there's a couple cards that I brought up here for Boros Legends. And so it plays Kythian, Zergo Bellstriker, and he was trying Arabella.
Mm-hmm.
So basically you're playing all of these cheap red and white what is she called? Is it the Pia Nalara that makes the Pia that makes the Thopters when you play stuff from exile?
Yep.
So like it's playing all of these Boros Legends and using Mox Amber to get ahead on mana.
Oh, okay.
And so like Kythian is one of those 1-drop legends that then lets you turn on your Mox Amber. If you go like Kithian and then like another, I don't know what the other white like 1-drop legend is, but now you have 3 or 4 power on the board on turn 1.
Yeah.
Right, and now you're ahead mana as well. So it's an aggressive deck. I'll have to find that video and maybe try to link it. But like that's what I first thought of. I guess you could also play it in Convoke, but I don't think people have been.
Yeah.
It doesn't make 2 things.
Right.
And then we have Silence. White for an instant. Your opponent can't cast spells this turn. So this doesn't look like it, but it's kind of a counter spell. Or it reads like Force through your combo this turn.
Right.
It also, you can like effectively time walk your opponent, silence walk them.
Yeah, it's not quite time walk, but it's a reasonable portion of, depending on the board state.
Yeah. I mean, if you're like worried about a sweeper, you could on their upkeep silence them. They can't cast any spells, and then you get to jam on get to attack on your turn.
Yeah, I mean, another thing in a deck like you were just talking about, like a Boros Legends or Boros Convoke or whatever, where you're trying to get ahead in tempo. We've talked a lot on the show about how like key turns in a game, like the way the metagame is laid out. Sometimes it's like the key turn is turn 3, turn 4. If you're playing a really low to the ground deck where you're making use of your mana every turn and you like silence your opponent when they're getting ready to play their Shieldred, like you have potential to have a really big turn that turn.
So the place that it's seen the most play, Bryant Cook is been a big proponent of silence in a lot of formats. So he's played it in Modern, some of his combo decks, and he's been playing it from time to time in Lotus Field in the sideboard.
Okay.
Right, so against like a control deck, you just like silence on your turn, and they have to spend their mana to counter it.
Yep.
And now you've got a counter out of their hand and some mana out of their hand. And if they don't, you know that like the coast is cleared and you get to go.
Yep.
So that's kind of where it has seen a lot of play, at least in things I've seen, is in Lotus Field as a way to force through your Lotus Field turn.
Ton of sense. Moving into blue, we have Enter the Infinite. 8 blue. Draw cards equal to the number of cards in your library, then put a card from your hand on top of your library. You have no maximum hand size until your next turn. What on earth are you doing with this?
This is another... We're going to have a couple of these. This is another Lotus Field card.
Okay.
So there are... Lotus Field is a deck that has like... let's say 50 to 56 cards that are like locked.
Yeah.
And then you have, how am I going to win the game with this pile of mana?
Yeah.
And some people will like loop, the Bryant Cook way has been looping Chandra's, the one that doubles your instants and sorceries when you cast your first instant and sorcery. Looping Chandra.
Okay.
There are other ways that you play Omniscience, and then you enter the Infinite. And then if you can't win from being able to cast every spell on your deck for free, you built your deck wrong. So this is one of those cards that has, from time to time, found its way into, what's it called? Into Lotus Field.
Okay.
I guess the problem now with just going through those top 50 spells, basically they're just all Rakdos cards.
Yeah.
So if you're in a metagame where the card Shieldred the Apocalypse could see like a heavy-ish play.
Probably don't want to draw your library.
No, Shieldred is the 4th most played creature in the format.
Yeah.
It's 70% of decks. You don't want your win con to stone kill you in 20% of your games.
Yeah.
But this is a card that has shown up there in conjunction with Lotus Field, or just making an enormous amount of mana.
Well, I mean, depending on what your kill is, though, you could win with the shielded triggers on the stack.
You could. You could. I don't know if they have an instant speed way to win, but they might.
The other piece of Lotus Field.
The important one.
Yeah, well, go ahead and take it.
Hidden Strings, 1 in the blue, sorcery. You may tap or untap target permanent. Then you may tap or untap another target permanent. It's gonna be weird because like, I think you like target both. At least on Magic Online, you target both, and then you have to say if you're gonna tap or untap each permanent.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has Cipher, which is when you cast a spell as it resolves, you can stick it onto a creature, and then if that creature deals combat damage, it has this effect on hit.
Yep.
Does not really matter for Lotus Field. So, right, the whole point of Lotus Field is you want to get 2 Lotus Fields, and then every Hidden Strings is +4 mana.
Yep.
So, you just like Lotus Field and untap stuff with this, make a bunch of mana, and then between this and Pour Over the Pages, I think it's Pour, is the draw 3, discard 1, untap 2 lands. Those are plus mana, and it allows you to build up a bunch of mana to like effectively storm off and cast like a giant spell or, you know, some combination of giant spells. So if you've been like playing Explorer and you haven't had dedicated like Lotus Field hate in your sideboard, let that be like Krako's Buzz Crusher or some other thing. Oh, what is there's the stone thing.
Stone thing.
Oh wait, no, Damping Sphere.
Yeah, Damping Sphere. Wet Ball.
Wet Ball. That in your sideboard, like these are the kind of things you kind of have to have now on Arena, because now Lotus Field is here. So just keep this in mind.
Yep. Retraction Helix. The blue mana for an instant until on a turn target creature gains tap. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So this used to be a combo with, was it Jeskai Ascendancy?
Yes. So now we have Mox Amber plus Rona. That was like the hotness briefly when Rona was spoiled.
Yep.
So you cast Retraction Helix on Rona, you loot, you play Mox Amber, it causes Rona to untap because it is a historic spell.
Yep.
And then you can then bounce the Mox Amber with the Retraction Helix. Yep. You can just cast a bunch of spells.
Infinite mana.
Yep.
And then we have one more blue card here. Temporal Trespass. 8 blue for a sorcery with Delve. Take an extra turn after this one, then exile it. This saw play in Phoenix, right?
Yes, and it's like, I think it's a little contentious in Phoenix. Like, I was watching a video yesterday where Jim Davis is like, I hate this card in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's bad because everything else in the deck is like lean and efficient.
Yeah.
And then you have this like one of clunker in your deck that like, does it really help you win?
Yeah.
Probably not. Right, like I know people point to games where you're like, oh, I wouldn't have won that game if it wasn't for Temporal Trespass, but then you don't remember the games you were like, gotta loot this garbage away.
Rotting in your hand, yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a Phoenix aficionado, but I have certainly played it, and I don't think I would put this in my list.
Yeah, it has been in the list in the past as like a one-of. So
yeah, I know it spiked a few months ago.
So if you're a Phoenix enjoyer, this is like the one card that you get.
Oh yeah, that's all they get's one card?
I don't think there's another card for Phoenix.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, no.
Moving on to black. First card is one that I mentioned in the preamble there. This is Dark Petition. 3 black for a sorcery. Search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. And it has spell mastery. If there are 2 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, add black, black, black.
This is in one of those like 4 to 10 cards in the how am I going to win my game with Lotus Field like kind of pile of things.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like are a Dark Petition gamer in Lotus Field, this is the card for you. It's another like Lotus Field thing. Like I said, it's 50 cards are locked, maybe 54, 56, and then it's just like, how am I winning?
Yep.
And sometimes the answer is with Dark Petition and stuff.
Like I mentioned, this was also in kind of a pet deck of mine, the Seasons Past control deck. Just kind of loop it.
Hopefully what this will do is, you remember where the Seasons Past control deck came from, right?
It was like a random Pro Tour or something. It like popped up and then disappeared. It was only around for like a month.
By random Pro Tour, I think Finkel top 8'd with it.
Oh, was it Finkel?
It was Finkel.
Okay.
And everyone watched that PT.
Yep.
And then the next week at F&M, there were like 4 people playing it. And like, it was, for some people, like watching a monkey do a math problem. It was like, they watched Finkel play it and they were like, oh,
yeah,
this
I can do
totally
that.
And then it's like, oh, wait, no, I can't. But hopefully there's enough cards on Pioneer now, or on Arena now, that the next Pro Tour that is like Pioneer, people go like, oh, I want to play that, and they can like put the whole deck together, whatever it is, and not have to like make concessions. And like also if I were Wizards and I like got all the deck lists and there were like 4 random cards that I did not have, I'd be like, hey,
we should probably do something about getting those.
Let's program these and then sell like a Pro Tour whatever like bundle.
Yeah.
And like so people can have these cards. But yeah, so this is another like weird like half these cards are for Lotus Field, which is just because it was the main deck that wasn't there.
Just for the record, I played that deck for the remainder of that standard season, not just for a couple weeks like everybody else did.
Yeah, you were in deep.
And then we have Zombie Fish, Gurmag Angler, 6 and a black with Delve for a 5/5.
This card changed Magic forever.
It absolutely did. Thank you, Patrick Chapin, right?
Yep, Patrick Chapin showed up and people were like, what are you doing playing this card? And then like we're getting turned to 5/5'd and they were like, oh, we can't kill this. Oh no.
I don't have removal for this.
It's bigger than my Tarmogoyf. So there is again in like the realm of like pet deck or like tier B, tier C Pioneer decks, Neoform. So if you remember, it's goodness, it's like blue-green, sack a creature, go get a creature that is like 1 bigger.
Yep.
So you can Gurmag into
an 8-drop.
Velomachus Lorehold.
Oh yeah, okay.
Is it Velomachus? Into an 8-drop.
Yeah.
But there are versions where it's Velomachus, I do believe. Because it makes it big enough that it can then cast. Here it is. Okay, that's a 7-drop, so maybe Tasker gets it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Tasker plus Hooting Mandrills. I think Zombie Fish lets you get. I guess Attracts as a 7 as well. So maybe Zombie Fish, we need a better 8 that I can't think of right now. But the Delve creatures let you go get big dumb things with Neoform.
Isn't one of the Dragon Lords an 8-drop?
Maybe. I think Atarka is a 7-drop. Atarka is a 7.
Atarka is a 7. That's the biggest one.
But
I guess I'm not sure what you get at 8.
Well, in Modern, it's Grizzlebrand.
Oh yeah, Big Bad Gristle Daddy.
Yeah, Big Bad Gristle Daddy. But there's not like a. So But still, when there is an 8 to get, this is your thing.
Yep.
And then another delve card.
Soul Flare?
Soul Flare.
Yeah, this is the whole deck by itself. 4 black for a 4/4 demon. It has Delve. And if a creature card with flying is exiled with Soul Flare's Delve ability, Soul Flare has flying. Same is true for first strike, double strike, death touch, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, reach, trample, and vigilance.
So the whole point of this is there was a Saffron Olive deck like last week, and some other people have played it as well that I think did well in like an infamous small Japanese tournament or something in Standard, where they used Urborg Scavengers to do this. Soul Flare has the upside of where Urborg Scavengers, there's a trigger that goes on the stack.
Yeah.
So before it eats the thing that gives it hexproof, you can kill it. Soul Flare just enters with all those abilities.
Right.
So things like Zatalpa.
Oh yeah.
What is it Sire of Seven Deaths? Is that the name of the card?
The new one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
That has that has first strike, lifelink, reach, trample, vigilance. This doesn't pick up ward, and I forget what the other ability it has is. But like you basically just take keyword soup cards and then eat them.
Yep.
And now we have 8 in air quote Soul Flares with Urborg Scavenger. And now we have Soul Flare. This is another like C tier-ish deck that people like to play from time to time.
Yeah, pet deck, it's fun. One more black card, I think. Tessiger. We already talked about Tessiger.
Yep.
5 and a black for a 4/5 with Delve. You can pay 2 hybrid green blue to mill 2 cards and return a non-land card of an opponent's choice from your graveyard to your hand. Like you mentioned, the Delve creatures are good with Neoform and I guess Eldritch Evolution also.
Oh yeah, that's the other card. Yeah.
Yep. But Tessiger also saw play in Pioneer is like a mirror breaker kind of grindy card. Just value, cheap value. I think Magic is kind of past that point now, but
yeah, like the problem is Tessiger, you would play it for 1 or 2 mana like in the midpoint of the game.
Yeah.
But like you can play cards that do as much or more like at any point in the game earlier. Right. So like instead of having to wait for like cards in your graveyard and stuff to get like to double spell with Tessiger, it's like I could just play this 3-drop that does like
most of Tessiger.
Yeah, most of Tessiger.
I mean, would you rather play a Tessiger or a Shieldred?
Probably a Shieldred. Like they have the same stats.
Yep.
You could always cast your Shieldred on 4 mana.
Yep.
And your card advantage is killing your opponent.
Yep.
So Tessiger is 5 and a black, so it's 6. Hooting Mandrills is 5 and a green, so it's 6. So they can be neoformed into either Atraxa or Villamachus Lorehold.
Yep.
And Villamachus says it's like you can cast a spell that has a casting cost less than its power. So by getting it to 6, because you get the counter from Neoform, it lets you cast, and I didn't put this one on the list because it's super niche, Part the Water Veil.
Oh, yeah.
And it lets you cast like Karn's Temporal Sundering, because you'll have a legend.
Yep.
And I think there might be another like take an extra turn spell that it can cast. So basically you hope to Tessiger into Villamachus, attack,
take all the turns,
hit a turn spell, and then take all the turns and kill them. Like just smash them with a 6/6. Next turn, do it again, do it again, do it again.
Yep.
So that is that is the deck that this enables, and like it doesn't see play like anywhere else. And like I said, that is like C tier meme deck.
Sure, it's fun for an FNM or something though.
Yeah.
Be fun to jam through a challenge or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to red. First red card is Burning Anger. 4 and a red for an aura. Enchanted creature has tapped. This creature deals damage equal to its power to any target. Oh boy, I know where this is going.
Is it? What is the name of the? It's not Storm. What is the name of that card?
Storm Herald?
Storm Herald.
Yeah.
I don't know why I put Storm. So there's Storm Herald that you there it is. That when it enters, you can put all your auras from your graveyard onto it.
Mm-hmm.
And the way Colossification works, which is like give a creature +20/+20 and tap it. The tap is a trigger that you can respond to. So if you throw Burning Anger and Colossification onto Storm Herald,
mm-hmm.
the trigger goes on the stack, and in response, you tap Burning Anger and you kill him.
Yep.
Now, does your opponent have to be tapped out with no graveyard hate and perhaps be a goldfish? Yes. But I played Storm Herald for a while. This was the kill that was getting played in paper because it's a little bit easier to put like A and B in your graveyard as opposed to having to have like
critical mass.
a bajillion auras that might be terrible. At least like you have to play 2 bad auras and then you like play a normal game.
Yeah.
But so that's the only reason this card is here, because it like enabled that deck.
Yep. And like that's kind of what I was hoping out of this set, is that number one, it would get us closer to like actual metagame, but like I let off with, I kind of want to play like my old fun decks from back in the day.
Yeah. And like this like is a thing that you can do that that just this one card like totally changes that deck and makes it playable.
Yep.
Maybe not viable, but playable.
Yep. Oh, this is one of my favorite cards. Next red one is Goblin Rabblemaster. 2 and a red for a 2/2 Goblin Warrior. Other Goblin creatures you control attack each turn if able. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 red Goblin creature token with haste. Whenever Goblin Rabblemaster attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each other attacking goblin. We have like a critical mass of Goblin Rabblemaster.
Yeah, we have this. We have Legion Warboss.
Squee.
Is there another one? Oh yeah, the Squee.
And I think we just got another one in Foundations too, didn't we?
Did we?
I think we did, yeah.
There's the guy that you get a goblin if you attack with a goblin.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm talking about.
General Crete the Bolt something.
Yeah,
something
maybe like that.
He's from Foundations Jumpstart.
Oh, it's not in actual Foundations?
Yeah, it's so dumb. Hey, let's have this set that is made for new players.
Yeah.
Where your cards legal? Oh.
Not there.
Not there. No, you want them to be. Like, this is at an earlier point in Pioneer, there were multiple decks that were just, can I go elf into Rabblemaster?
Yep.
And over the last few years where this was like a strategy people would look at, we now have way more lands that produce red and green.
Mm-hmm.
So it's way easier to go elf on 1, rabble on 2.
Yep.
And there was a time that like Gruul Vehicles was being played.
Mm-hmm.
This is a card that Gruul Vehicles could play. This works really well with is it Reckless Storm Seeker that gives haste?
Yeah, it gives haste.
Like you play like Storm Seeker on 2 with your elf, and then you're like Rabblemaster like bash you for like 6.
Yeah, the
7.
The important difference between Rabblemaster and the other Rabblemasters that we have, the Squee and Legion Warboss and all that, is that Rabblemaster's body comes in at the beginning of combat.
Yes.
So you can use that body for other things also. You can invoke with it, you can crew a vehicle with it, and then obviously it won't be attacking.
They are awesome at flying helicopters.
Yes.
Smuggler's copter.
Yep.
So
Scooter.
Yeah. So that is something that is different as well. Like you have to. I think they did this with Legion Warboss. Maybe not. But like, hopefully there is a stop when there's a Rabble Master out before you go to combat.
Yeah.
Because right, you want to kill this before you get into combat, so they don't get left the one. So you don't leave them with the 1/1.
Yep.
I mean, Rabble Master has been around since M15, so like a decade, and it is still, yeah, it is still one of the best, if not the best thing in red prison decks to be your finisher.
Yep.
Right? You're like turn 1 Chalice, turn 2 Rabble Master, attack you.
Yep.
Or like turn 1 Blood Moon, turn 2 Rabble Master, attack you, and the game ends quick.
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah, so like Rabble is very much asked the question like, can you do you have a removal spell?
Yep.
So I don't know if it's good enough with like the other red aggressive decks, but it is a fun deck to play.
Absolutely.
All right. Speaking of the other aggressive decks, we've got Reckless Bushwhacker. 2 in a red for a Goblin Warrior ally. It has Surge for 1 and a red. It has haste when Reckless Bushwhacker enters. If its Surge cost was paid, other creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain haste until the end of turn. So, Surge is the cost you pay if you've already cast a spell this turn.
Yep.
So, you want to like, in your Boros Convoke deck, which is where this card was seeing play, and I don't know if it still will with like Emidane's Recruiter.
Yeah.
Like there's only I don't know if it still sees play or not because Emidane's Recruiter is probably just better. But like you want to like on 3 play like Thraben Inspector, and then Bushwhack, and then get a bunch of damage in.
Yep.
So you can't really get it to not be a 3-mana play. There aren't like any like 0-mana things that those decks play. I guess Ornithopter, you can like Ornithopter and Bash.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to play this in your Boros Legends deck, but you could Mox in this.
Yeah. But this is kind of a conditional Emidane's Recruiter.
Yep. Also, not for Pioneer purposes, but we already have other Bushwhacker on an arena. You could play 8-whack in either Historic or Timeless.
Yeah. Which, like, 8-whack and, like, Convoke are pretty similar in terms of, like, the cards that they want. So, like, if you're, like, playing Convoke and Pioneer and it's, like, not fast enough for Timeless, like, this can help speed you up because, like, you could have a Goblin Bushwhacker, a Reckless Bushwhacker, an Emidane's Recruiter, and just every card that makes 2 bodies.
Yep.
And, like, pretty good mana.
Last red card is Zergo Bell Striker. It's a single red pip for a 2/2 Orc Warrior. It's legendary. And when Zergo can't block creatures of power 2 or greater and has dash for 1 and a red. And like you mentioned already, this would see play in that Boros Legend.
Yeah. And like it's definitely not at like the power level of like Kellen. Like Kellen I know is a 2/1, but like it just seems Kellen is like this with no downside.
Yeah.
So
moving on to green, we have Alpha Authority, and I think this is going to set up a theme for green here. This is 1 and a green for an aura. Enchanted creature has hexproof and can't be blocked by more than 1 creature.
And boogles or boggles, or however you say it or spell it. What's me to say boggles? So, like, this is scene play in. Do you remember the? Oh God, was it Hateful Eidolon? Like the black creature.
The SRAM deck.
Yes. So this is scene play in the SRAM decks and things like that, where it's like a one of the Light Paws decks.
Yeah.
Where it's a way for you to go like give your thing hexproof kind of permanently.
Yep.
because we don't have a thing that just gives hexproof forever.
Right.
So this lets you do that.
You do now.
We do now.
Next green card is Basara Tower Archer. Green for a 2/1 with hexproof and reach.
There you go.
I told you there was going to be a theme.
There is. So a thing to know is for a while they had printed low mana value hexproof creatures.
Yeah.
And they stopped.
Yep.
So these are as good as it's gonna get.
Yep. Well, especially since like Ward has kind of replaced hexproof now.
Yeah. Next up is Fog, which I guess we didn't have. I don't remember us having just green Fog, did we?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I didn't look. I probably should have looked before I made you like look up the card.
That's all right.
But it shows up in. Okay, we did not. It was not legal in Explorer.
Okay.
This is another like thing that got played in Lotus Field as kind of the like, oh no, you're an aggressive deck. I'm gonna like try to buy myself a turn by fogging you and then win.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Or I guess like if you're a true degenerate, like Turbo Fog.
Yeesh.
Right, like his Nexus of Fate is legal, I do believe, or is it?
I don't know.
Did they ban that?
Might be.
They might have banned it. Because I've not played against that in like forever. Oh no, it is banned in Pioneer and Explorer. Never mind. Good riddance.
Get that crap out of here.
Yeah. So, but like in like random turns decks and stuff, you'll sometimes see Fog.
Yeah, and like Turbo Fog's a deck that pops up once. I mean, I don't think it has recently, but it's a deck that some degenerates play once in a while when they get a bug up their butt.
Yeah. And if you're a degenerate, here's your card.
Here's your card.
Speaking of degenerates, Glade Cover Scout. Green for a 1/1 with hexproof.
Another Boggle.
So, I was pre these cards coming out, I was playing Boggles, or jank, not real Boggles on Arena, because Sheltered by Ghosts is absurd.
Yeah, that card's kind of nuts.
So like, I think that you had to print when you printed Sheltered by Ghost, you kind of like re-energized, reinvigorated that deck.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you have to print like Glade Cover Scout and Bashar Archers, and again, much like the red green decks, like from when Pioneer started, the mana has gotten like way better.
Yeah.
For these kind of things, so with all the pieces that are there, like it just makes sense. And the issue is with black being such a like popular color, right? You definitely run into things like Liliana and Shieldred's Edict as like ways to like completely and totally annihilate you and take your will to live. But what is it? Cartouche of Solidarity makes a bot. Well, it's kind of like Shieldred's Edict gets around that. You need to have like 2 actual pieces of cardboard.
Yeah.
But like that works for Lily. But you just have to be mindful of like, oh hey, I need to make sure that my that I have a way to protect this.
Yep.
But yeah, like Boggles, I've played Boggles in Modern before. It's, if I just kind of want like an A plus B, I'm going to do my thing and race you.
Yep.
It is a card that we need for that.
Next one we have is Oath of Nissa. This is a card that, did it actually get banned at one point?
It was banned, yes.
Yeah. Very powerful. 1 mana for a legendary enchantment. When Oath of Nissa enters, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature, land, or planeswalker card from among them. Put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom in any order. And you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast planeswalker. I know, like, when this card was first spoiled, everybody was kind of calling it the Green Ponder. just as like card selection, because green hadn't had that before. Now it seems like green gets more of that, so might not be as relevant in that context. It's also a green pip for devotion decks. And for a while, it was also being used for its actual ability also in like Super Friend style decks, but I don't think that's really a thing.
I mean, do you remember when one of the win cons in mono green was Bolus?
Yeah.
Because you could just like play Bolus off of green, 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 green.
Yeah.
So like this is gonna change the way like the mono green decks are played on Arena. I haven't looked to see like what the mono green decks look like in the real world.
Yeah.
But it'll help with the consistency of you finding your what's it called? Oh goodness, what are they called? Your Nykthoses.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So your Nykthos ramp. There we go. So yeah, just like four. Where's that? Okay, it's not in this one. Great. I like it's in Nykthos ramp, and I click it, and the first one that comes up.
It's not in.
Okay. Timothy Rasmussen, we need to talk. Because you're playing mono green. And then what is the name that he gave the deck in classic old us fashion? Golgari Soulflare. So currently there are 1.3 in 41% of decks.
Okay.
In mono green. Partly because Invasion of Ixalan has kind of taken its spot.
Yeah.
But like it could be one of those things too that like maybe as like more people play, right? Like because there aren't a ton of Pioneer tournaments going on, and there's more people like playing Explorer. Maybe we'll move back to like the cheaper option.
Yeah, could be.
But yeah.
Next up, we have a card we've already talked about, Sylvan Caryatid. 1 and a green for an 0/3 with Defender and Hexproof. It taps for a mana of any.
Yeah, so it's been played in like 5-color Fires, Enigmatic Incarnation, and mainly Niv-to-Light.
Yep.
Because Niv-to-Light wants to play all like 2-color spells.
Yep.
So like this helps you just actually be able to cast your cards.
Yeah, it ramps a little bit, fixes your hard to interact with.
Very hard. Unfortunately, does not wear pants.
True. Well, I mean, it does. It just doesn't bring them anywhere.
You just can't attack. Yeah, it wears pants, but doesn't go to school.
It wears them at home. Yeah.
It wears them at home. Then we have Voyaging Satyr. So 1 on the green for a 1/2 that says untap target land. So again, if Bryant Cook from time to time will play this in the sideboard or in the main deck of Lotus Field, depending on how fast the format is. Because, right, like if you go say Voyaging Satyr on 2, Lotus Field on 3, untap.
Yeah.
Now you can like tap your Lotus Field and then Hidden Strings. And effectively having the Voyaging Satyr is like having a second Lotus Field.
Right.
And like you can go off on turn 3 where you kind of can't go off on turn 3 without it. So it's a way to speed up Lotus Field. And it's kind of the only place it gets played.
Yep. Moving on from green into gold. First card is Bring to Light. We have already kind of talked about this a few times. 3 green-blue for a sorcery with Converge. Search your library for a creature, instant, or sorcery card with mana value less than or equal to the number of colors of mana spent to cast this spell. Exile that card, then shuffle, and you cast that card without paying its mana.
So this is the way that Niv-to-Light works.
Yeah.
This is the light Niv-to-Light. Like, so you go get the Niv Mizzet that looks at like the top 10 and you put all the 2-color cards in it.
Yep.
In that pile in your hand, or all the different guild colored ones.
Yeah.
So like that deck couldn't be on Arena. That deck is not as good as it once was, but it is a deck that people like to play.
Yep. It's a fun deck to play.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of been outclassed, I think, by like the decks that get Atraxa,
Yeah.
or like uh even the fire, like the enigmatic incarnation decks and stuff like that. But it's still like a deck that is fun and interesting. Way back when we played in the Dumpster Fire Open, that was like one of the hot decks.
Yep. Next gold card is Chromanticore. It's Wooburg for a 4/4 enchantment creature Manticore with Bestow, but you don't ever bestow this thing. It has flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, lifelink, and if it's bestowed, the creature gets +4/+4 and keyword soup. Basically, this only matters for Soul Flare.
Mm-hmm. I for some reason thought it had hexproof, but it does not.
Does not.
So yeah, it's just a way to get all the keywords. Like, so now we have this. You have this. You have Sire of Seven Deaths, Zapalta. You have a ton of ways to just end up with every keyword.
Yep.
So that is what it is here for.
Next up is my favorite Dragon Lord. Dragon Lord Dramoka. 4 green-white for a 5/7 legendary Elder Dragon. This spell can't be countered. It has flying, lifelink, and your opponents can't cast spells during your turn.
So again, it is a way to, like, in Lotus Field, like, it simultaneously is a giant stop sign for your mono red opponent.
Yep.
And then it's also a way for you to, like, slam this and then try to go off.
Yep.
Knowing that your control opponent can't interact with you.
Can't do anything.
So it's a giant silence that is also a 5/7 lifelinker.
Yep.
And again, it is one of those cards that shows up at various times in Lotus Field, and I've seen it in Enigmatic Incarnation sideboards because I was like, oh, I would like to have that as a thing to go get for 6 mana. And then I went and looked and I was like, why isn't this on Arena?
It is now.
It is now.
Next up we have Rurik Thar the Unbowed. 4 red-green for a 6/6 with vigilance and reach. It attacks each combat if able, and whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, Rurik Thar deals 6 damage to that player.
So you need to cast how many spells to win with Lotus Field? Good person, good opponent.
Probably more than 3.
Yeah, I hope the answer is exactly 3 for your sake.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of a Enigmatic Incarnation sideboard like Silver Bullet. Is kind of the place that's seen the most. Also, this is also really good against Phoenix.
Yep.
Right? Like if you have like a way to reanimate it or, incarnation it out, and then you're just like, okay, like I have reach, I block Phoenixes, and then you like, better have a way to like kill it, and you're still gonna take 6.
Yeah, there's nothing in Phoenix.
I mean, if you block.
Sure.
But yeah, like a Lightning Axe takes 6.
Yep.
And then you're like, Fiery Impulse also takes 6.
You took 12 and lost a card.
Yeah, hopefully I can figure out a way to win after 12ing you.
Yep.
So, yeah, like Dragon Lord Dramoka just like does going back like also against like Phoenix, like that it takes 2 cards to get rid of it, and it also has lifelink and like can stabilize you. Does a lot.
Yep, does a lot.
And this last one you found because my eyes glazed over when I saw all the freaking gates again.
Yeah, the only problem is that for some reason I didn't grab the card.
Okay, well, for those listening, it is Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. All lands are swamps in addition to their other types.
Yep.
So it is not a swamp itself. It just makes itself a swamp because of its ability. And this is like a one of in a lot of there we go. A one of in a lot of the black decks. Because like you're playing, Field of Ruin, Mutavault kind of things.
Yeah.
And you have the out of drawing your Urborg and having perfect mana.
Yeah, I mean, if you get an awkward draw with a Mutavault and a Field of Ruin, you can't cast any of your spells. But if that draw also can Borg as like your third land or whatever, all of a sudden that hand looks real good.
Yeah. So like this has been one of those things that like it's just been like shrug. It's not on Arena.
Yeah.
I guess like it's fine if it's just a swamp.
Yep.
But this is like we won't say strictly better, but oftentimes an upgrade over just like swamp number 10.
Yep.
So it's a good addition.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I can't think. So there's nothing on the top 50 cards list that like I'm like, oh hey man, I really wish this was here. But like I don't know, some of these cards I'm just like, especially like the things that are like things we already have.
Yeah.
You know, like even the like stupid what is there's the adventure like flyer, the white one. I'll find it. That like is already on Arena, and it's like why is this card? What did we do to get this card again? Why did we do this? Ardenvale Tactician. Like why do we have to reprint Ardenvale Tactician? Like, isn't there some other card that like might be more interesting?
Yeah.
Like that we don't already have, right? Like I would say over a third of this set is already on Arena.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe more. So like I don't know, that was a little disappointing.
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't even notice we got Gids.
Yeah. I could not think of a place where Gideon was played.
Yeah, I don't think he is anymore.
Yeah. I don't know if I mentioned all the oaths except for Oath of Nissa are uncommon.
Oh, really?
They're like, what's the one that people are going to craft?
Yeah.
Nissa.
Make it a rare.
Also, did you see yeah, like I understand like we just printed Stations there in Foundations and we're like again. What was it? Did you see what they did to Dreadbore?
No, I didn't even see Dreadbore.
Dreadbore's a common.
It's a common?
Yeah, they did a thing. There was a Twitter post about
Does that
how,
make
like,
it pauper legal?
I thought about there's been a few like arena downshifts.
Yeah.
Like there was like a madness card.
Yeah.
That got downshifted to from rare to uncommon, and I was like, can I put this in my cube now? And I decided against it, but I was like I could. Like it's my cube, I can do whatever I want.
Right.
But yeah, but there was this thing about how like they made Dreadbore a common because all the cards exist and you can't do anything other than the only knob you have to turn is rarity. So they made Dreadbore a common. Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Like I've talked about the fact that I feel like Dreadbore is going to get printed in a set and just be an instant.
Probably.
Right, like we've had Terminate forever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why can't Dreadbore be an instant? And it's like, we're just going to get to that point where they're just like, yep, you're an instant now.
Yep. Wouldn't surprise me.
And there's nothing else like super interesting that you're like, oh yeah, I'm so glad we have this. Like there's some stuff that's like very much, I think, what is it called? I was going to say Commander, but like Brawl.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of nostalgic cards here, like
Cura's
Follower, Cura Crashing Wave.
Well, I was beside Cura's Follower, Kuranos, God of Storms.
Yeah, yep.
Lord and Savior.
Yep. And that's not really a card that James cast many times, but yeah.
No.
Big Garrick.
So there are the draft that I got 2 of them, but they were both in Japanese because we ran out of English packs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Whisperwood Elemental.
Yeah, but like they gave us like Xenagos again, so we already have Xenagos on Arena,
Yeah.
like God of Rebels,
Yeah.
and it's like we already had that one. Like you specifically had to put it there because we didn't have it, and like I guess like you put Void Winter in there for the memes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard because I can't think of like, oh my gosh, why did they not put this card in? But I don't know. It just feels like there's just so many reprints
Yeah.
that it's like I don't know why we got so many. But it might also just be like if we go back through like, you know, uh Dragon's Maze wasn't really giving us bangers.
True.
And just like the power creep of things, it's like how do you like a lot of the cards just don't stand up anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you just can't and have like a like reasonable draft environment.
That kind of makes
But
sense.
yeah, just because like people are gonna look at these cards and be like, these are off because these are even older than Shadows over Innistrad.
Oh yeah, this is like up to M15.
No, Theros block. Oh no, Ravnica block.
Oh yeah, yep.
Not RTR.
Yep.
So these are going all the way back because like, um, Blood Baron of Viscopa is basically a 4-drop now.
Yeah.
That has hexproof from instance. Right? It's like the same card.
Yeah.
But has hexproof from instance. And costs 1 less mana. So like it might just be that like we're thinking about these cards with like, or I am at least with like rose-colored glasses, and it's like, oh yeah,
Card's just bad now.
Yeah, card's unplayable now.
Yep.
Sorry. Oh man, did we not have Unravel the Aether either? Like, come on, just let the boy play his enchantment. So yeah, so those are the cards that we think are like actually playable.
Yeah, worth crafting.
Yeah. I mean, there are other things like you can go like Mimir, like if you like want to relive your days with Poly-K.
Sure.
Like, sure.
Well, I mean, Polukranos saw play in like the early mono green builds.
Mm-hmm. Mistcutter Hydra.
Oh yeah.
Things of that nature.
Yep.
But like, I think we got the cards that are the ones that are actually seeing play and seeing a good chance of showing up places.
I agree.
You got anything else?
I do not.
All right. So with that, I think we got a show.
We got a show.
If we miss something, like if you're like, why didn't you talk about Stormbreath Giant or Stormbreath Dragon? He's not playable anymore.
Right.
If you have any cards that you think we missed, or things like that, let us know. Facebook, Discord, X gonna give it to you, or email. All those links are in the description. Say hey. Also, let us know what you want us to talk about with red and green and colorless and gold cards and stuff for hopefully next week for Foundations.
Yeah, we'll return to our regularly scheduled programming.
Our regularly scheduled set review.
Yeah. To probably be outdone before too much longer by another set review.
65 days.
Yep. Is it that long? I didn't think it was even that long.
The current arena season for Foundations is in the middle to low 60s of days left.
Okay.
So that's all I was basing it off of.
All right. So if you're wanting to support the show, there's 2 ways you can do it. The first is our TCG player affiliate link, CasualTryHard.com/TCG. Surf on over there, do your shopping, support the show at the same time. The other way is through our Patreon, patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. Chip a couple bucks in, you get access to some cool stuff, like our show notes and our unshow, about another hour of content out of us every week. If any of that sounds good, or if you just show, patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG.
Yeah, so with that, we'll catch you on the internet.
We'll catch you on the internet.